Hi everybody. I'm doing this to share some of the strategies that I've been using with folks to help manage patterns of stress reactivity. And so this is my imperfect offering, and I hope all of you will consider things that you might want to share with other people in your life regarding how we can all be coping and being our best selves during this time. And so first I just want to do a little bit of the intellectual framework about the whole issue about stress reactivity. And that is that when we think about our normal patterns of reacting to stress, so some of us do pretty well at managing it at a certain level in our lives. Or we might even go through a period where it's like, oh, we're not coping so great, but then we sort of stabilize and are doing all right. And so certain circumstances can really overwhelm our normally effective coping strategies, and this could be one of those times. And so it can be important to learn from our past behaviors about when we're at our worst and when we're at our best. So when we're at our worst and there's stresses coming at us, we're sometimes just operating on automatic pilot. And so we manage that stress in ways that may not be helpful or effective. We often even know that at the time, but it can be hard to stop and be aware, to slow down enough to think, what would be a helpful or effective or useful way of responding to the stressor? What's going to be a more thoughtful and useful response rather than, say, an automatic pattern of stress reactivity. And those automatic patterns are things like some people get more withdrawn, some people get more angry or irritable or intense, some people might use more alcohol or other substances just to try to settle down that pattern of reactivity, but then that has its own kind of harmful effects on our bodies and our well-being. And so it's trying to think about reflecting in yourself about your own past, about thinking, how have you met other challenging times? And knowing, I met this challenging time in a way that maybe wasn't so helpful or effective. But I'm sure we could all think of times when we have been doing a good job at managing our stress and being our best selves and being the kind of person that's in tune with our values and being our authentic, real selves and managing that stress in a way that's effective and good. And to where, like, if you were thinking back 5 years from now, if you're going to look back and think, hey, how did I manage things during this time? What is that going to look like? Are we going to be happy with how we managed ourselves and how we responded to the stress? Or are we going to think, I really didn't do so great. I wasn't being my best self during that time. And so, but that's challenging, right? How do we do that? And so we're trying to think about ways to keep ourselves settled down and to be able to have a thoughtful response. And just day to day, because the situation is changing so rapidly that it's hard to think of what's my plan going to be for the next week even, or month, never mind thinking about the coming year, the way we might normally plan. Well, I'm a big planner, so I'm really having to readjust. Have things falling off the walls here. Okay, so the thinking about, how we're going to manage that on this day-to-day basis. And so one thing I think we need to attend to that could be helpful to attend to is just settling down our physiological response to the stresses that are just circulating through our brains, right? So if we think about all these worries that are just ruminating and going through our mind, it can be helpful to start noticing that, my mind just does that at a time like this. Doesn't necessarily mean that the thoughts we're having are true or helpful or effective, but noticing, our brain is just churning out thoughts, thousands and thousands of thoughts every day. Sometimes I like to think of it as a lot of them are just garbage. And so we need to not get too attached to believing that they're true, or even if they're true, they may not be a helpful or effective thing to focus on. And so we're trying to sort of become aware of some of that churning and to notice the effects that might have on the body. So when we're constantly thinking of worry thoughts and bad things that might happen, we're activating that danger system in our brain. and we're going into fight or flight response, or just sort of this pattern of tension, and every time we have another worry thought, that our body's getting more activated. So a couple of simple strategies to use to reduce that reactivity are one that comes out of EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing therapy, and we call it bilateral stimulation, which is basically just doing some movements back and forth with alternate sides of the body. So one might be tapping gently on your thighs back and forth in a very slow and gentle pattern. I'm actually just going to show you that right now on the video. I think I can do that, where we're just gently going back and forth. So slow and gentle, not, nothing like that. That tends to rev us up more, but just a sort of slow and gentle tapping back and forth. And there's other ways to do that. One of my favorites is something that's called the butterfly hug, which is, caught up in my cord there, doing this with your hands, and then just sort of gentle, like the wings of a butterfly, tapping back and forth. Plus I just think that's a nice sort of comforting feeling as well, because it's almost like you're giving yourself a little hug, or the butterfly is giving you a little hug, and gentle tapping back and forth. You can just see what feels right to you. And of course, with any of these strategies, you want to be allowing yourself just to breathe gently and slowly, and keeping in mind that if your exhale is a little longer than the inhale, that helps slow the heart rate and helps activate the parasympathetic nervous system. So, if you think about how our nervous system functions, the nervous system that's in sympathy with our emotions, the sympathetic nervous system, gets really activated at times like this, and we're wanting to find ways to engage the parasympathetic nervous system to settle it down so that we can, as I said, be our best selves during a challenging time. And to do that, we need to calm down that physiological response. Now, there's another strategy that is often referred to as tapping. It comes out of EFT, emotion freedom technique. And I'm not an expert on this, but I know some of the pieces of the tapping part. But there's a lot more information you can get about tapping, from other resources. But I'll just show you how I suggest it to people so that you can get that general idea. So the general idea is that you're tapping on different acupressure points on the body, and you start out with tapping on the sort of the karate chop side of your hand there. Just tapping there. And as I said, there's some other components of EFT or tapping, and you can find a lot of other videos and materials that'll teach you more about it. But just this simple strategy alone can be really helpful. And then you move to the top of your head, and you can either sort of do it like percussion tapping with the top of your tips of your fingers, or more just with the flat of your hand. It's kind of on the crown of your head. And then you're going to move to around your eye socket. So here you're tapping kind of right here in your eyebrow, and it's on the bone of the sort of the eye socket there. And then moving over to this side of the eye socket, not on the temple, but on the bone itself there, right there. And then moving down to also here on that bone, so I'm sort of right on my cheekbone there, right underneath the eye. And then moving down right here. And I always really like how that particular one feels. I think maybe I clench my jaw sometimes, and that somehow feels good or relaxing. And then under the lower lip. And then in this area, so it can either be sort of on the breastbone here or on the collarbone. I like to do that right there. And then another one is under the arm, not right up in the armpit, but just below it. I'm just tapping there. And then, as I said, I think it's always good to be, beginning or ending any of those strategies with some nice deep breaths. And another thing that I think that can be helpful is something that's referred to as a loving kindness meditation. Again, many practices like that out there where you can get resources on this. It's also referred to as metta, M-E-T-T-A, out of Eastern philosophy, out of Buddhism. And however, can be used by someone of any religious or belief or faith, or someone of no religion or faith, because it's a way of sending good wishes to yourself and to others. So just like you might wish someone a happy birthday, and you don't necessarily believe that by saying that you're magically going to create a happy birthday for them, but you are sending them your good wishes. And that's meaningful to us, right? When other people care for us, and it's meaningful to us when we can offer that love and caring to others. And so I think of it as just opening our hearts, to ourselves and to others. So to have self-compassion, to have compassion for others, and to have our daily activities being a little more oriented from that perspective, say, rather than a more fearful perspective, which is often what we have that tendency to do when is to kind of close up when we're afraid and, just look out for ourselves. I've had some of those feelings during this time, how am I going to stay open to others when I'm scared myself and everything. I think it's a really time of a lot of challenge in that area. And so the basic phrases of the love and kindness meditation, I was talking with someone the other day and they gave me a great idea. I was not going to steal it. And that was that they said this would be a wonderful thing to do when you're washing your hands instead of just the happy birthday thing, right? So like wishing someone a happy birthday, except if it's not someone's actual birthday, that might not be so helpful. So you can be doing the loving kindness meditation while you're washing your hands, or just as a way to set your intention for the day, or at night if you're trying to calm yourself before you go to sleep, or if you wake up in the night, because it can be hard to sleep at this time. That's one of the ways our nervous system is really activated. It makes it hard to sleep and to rest. And so I'm going to use just some traditional phrases from loving kindness, but you can make up your own, or you can look up other practices about this. And there's, many ways to approach it, but the traditional practice is thinking of ways that you're offering this to yourself, to loved ones, to people you feel actually somewhat neutral about, or perhaps who are otherwise sort of invisible to you, that you don't pay much attention to. And then even to people to whom you have challenging feelings and that you might not even like. And then also to the entire world. Now, I'm not going to do each one of those things, but I thought it might be helpful for us to do it towards ourselves and for each other. And the concept is that we repeat it a number of times, and so I'll just do that with you. And so the practice is, may I be safe. May I be happy. May I be as healthy as possible. May I live with ease. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be as healthy as possible. And may I live with ease. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be as healthy as possible. May I live with ease. And then thinking about offering it out to others. So it may be, may you be safe. May you be happy. May you be as healthy as possible. May you live with ease. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be as healthy as possible. May you live with ease. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be as healthy as possible. May you live with ease. And then thinking perhaps of the world, or of your world, of the people to whom you're the closest. May we be safe. May we be happy. May we be as healthy as possible. May we live with ease. So thanks for listening, everybody. This is my imperfect offering for this week. And may you consider ways that you have some things that you might want to offer to others right now to help us get through this challenging time. And this is a time of great impermanence, something that is true at all times in life, but right now so many things are changing all at once that it's more challenging to stay grounded and to have any sense of ease and to try to be our best selves. It's a hard time to do that. So having self-compassion for yourself regarding how challenging that is at a time like this, and also knowing that all things pass, good things, bad things, everything changes. And we're in the midst of great change, and we're trying to find ways to be our best selves during this time.